Hello. Hi, everyone. It's Christopher again. Um, Welcome to Storytellers Creators. Thank you guys for volunteering to beta test and for kind of exploring the site for the past. I think it's been like 3 days. Some of you guys, it's been less than that. Some of you guys, it's only been a couple of hours. But we've been beta testing for 3 days now. So thank you guys for that. Um, this little hangout thing is so everyone can kind of get a chance to ask any questions, and I can explain a little bit more about what Storyteller Creators is and kind of explain what you guys will be beta testing. So, for any of you watching on Storyteller Creators, you can click the join meeting link and you can actually get in on the meeting to where you can ask questions and actually get to verbally talk and give your opinion on stuff. But if you just want to hang out where you are and just watch the live stream, totally cool. You can also use the comment section on creators to be able to comment any questions that you would like us to talk about or answer or anything like that. So, uh, without further ado, I'm going to offer up a word of prayer and then we can get this party going. Dear Jesus, God, thank you for the day that you've given us, and thank you for all the people that you've placed in the world, and thank you for the paths you've placed them on, and thank you for the way you've just weaved everybody's lives together so that we can work as your body of believers together in unison with you. Thank you so much for the ways that you lead everyone and guide everyone. Just please protect each and every person and show them your will and show them your light. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, cool. So let's get started. Okay, common questions first. So the first thing is everybody's wondering exactly what this is, and for good reason, I guess. There hasn't been a lot of information given. So let's have a backstory. All right. So in 2015, December of 2015, SC Treehouse sat down to plan out a new mission, and the mission was to be able to create a way that storytellers, all kinds of storytellers, film, television, YouTube, books, artists, musicians, um, street performers, any storyteller could have a chance to. God bless me. Sorry. Any storyteller could have a chance to basically tell their story. So we started looking at what were the steps for telling a story. Ah, good grief. So anyway, we started looking at what the steps were for telling a story and kind of what the process was for each different venue and for each different medium and for each different genre of storytelling, what you had to do to get your story told. So we had experience in quite a few of these from several of the different projects that we had done, but it did require us to actually do a few more projects and experiment with some more stuff to be able to kind of see where that went, which drove us to get into book publishing as well as podcasting and radio drama production, just so we had a background in that and we kind of knew what we were doing. So, what we wanted to do was create a way for people to be able to tell their stories. And then once they told their stories, be able to get them to the people who wanted to hear them. So, we started looking at the first things first. How do you get your story started? So we started looking at the traditional ways of what would happen if you had the idea for a story. And we realized it was kind of universal across the board, whether it was a film, a television series, a book, um, even if it was a stage play, it was kind of universal across the board. You started out with your idea, and then you had to get somebody on board with what your idea was and hope that they would give you what was needed to be able to continue with it. So the first thing first was finding an audience, finding somebody who wanted to hear the story that you had to tell. So we started with that and we tried to figure out what would be the best ways to build an audience and to gain an audience. So we experimented with several different things. And we came up with that the way of being able to connect to people through social media was a really good way to be able to build an audience. So we set out to try to capture that so that it was accessible to more people. Because right now you've got Facebook, and that's great, but there's so many people on Facebook and so many people with ideas and so many people with stories. It's impossible to get yours loud enough that anyone can hear it. So the first thing that we started to do was look, how do you find your audience? And that turned into what we call storyteller fans. And that is still under development. We haven't actually gotten to the beta launch of it yet. But what that is it's basically a place for creators to be able to communicate directly with fans. So it's kind of that communication you always wish that you could have with, your favorite artist. It's the ability to basically talk one-on-one with them. The site is much like what you see in storyteller creators, except it opens it up to the fans, and it allows the fans to be able to come in and they can follow the projects and the creators that they like and get, exclusive updates on those projects and those, creators, and be able to actually talk to them and give their opinion. So we after that we tried to figure out, when you have an idea and you're trying to get it made into, whatever it is, a book, movie, whatever it is, how many people do you need to make it worthwhile for funding? So if you're trying to get big buck money to fund a project, how many fans do you need to be able to basically prove that you have a good idea? So we sat down to try to figure that out, and we worked out a threshold that we believed was kind of the tipping point, that if you could reach that many fans, it would become much easier to get a project funded. So once we found that threshold, uh, we started working on, okay, what happens once you find your fans, once you find the people who want to see what you're going to make, what happens next? So we started looking at the next steps, and the next steps were obviously to get what you needed to be able to do what you wanted. So traditionally, this is the funding stage. So this is where you try to raise the money to be able to actually create the project you want. So we sat down and we were looking at the different processes of being able to do that. How you raise money, and the two common ways of doing it for any kind of story is you have your big wigs who fund large portions of projects and will fund large budgeted projects. And then you have crowdsource funding, which is basically the fans paying to see what they want to see, or paying to read what they want to read, paying to have the story told that they want to hear. So we looked at that and we thought, well, what if there was a way to be able to combine these two forces together to make sort of a super force to be able to fund people? So we started looking at that, and we started looking, okay, it's much easier to get into crowdfunding than it is to get into bigwig funding. So it's much easier to convince a crowd that your idea is good than it is to convince somebody with a lot of bucks. It's much easier for for a lot of people to give $10 than it is for a few people to give $100,000. It's less risk. So we started looking into that and what that meant. So we tried to figure out, well, how much would you need to raise from a crowd to be able to actually convince a larger backer that your project is a good idea and it's not going to fail and it's worth them putting the money into it. So we started looking at that. We tried to figure out what would be good incentives for crowds and what would be good incentives for bigwigs, and we sat down and we figured out a few things. And from there, we thought, okay, well, now once you get your funds for your project, what's next? Where do you go from there? So we thought, well, the next step is you've got to actually make it. So now that you have the funds to make it, you need the people to make it. So we thought, well, where do you find the people who are talented enough to help you tell your story? I mean, even if you're doing something like writing a novel, you have to have editors and graphic designers and publishers. Um, I mean, obviously within the film industry, you have to have a lot more than that. But we thought, well, where do you find those people? How do you find them? And we realized it's extremely hard to. We knew from our own personal experience and some of the projects we had done, and as we were moving forward making new projects, that finding good quality people was hard. And it wasn't easy to find people who were willing to work really hard for a story that wasn't their own. And they were out there. They were just hard to find. They were hidden. So we thought, well, what if you had somewhere to be able to find them? So we started looking around, and we thought, well, IMDb's got this cool thing going where you can look up other projects or other creators and what they've worked on. And that's really nice. We realized that one thing we really liked when we did casting was when talent had IMDb pages, and we could see really easily what they had been in, what their credits were, and all that kind of stuff. It made it a lot easier to be able to see what they could give and how talented they were, and just see a range of what they could do. So we thought, well, that's really nice, but IMDb isn't set up to be able to find those people. It's great once you find them to then be able to look them up on IMDb, but what happens when you actually want to find somebody first on IMDb? So we tried to do that, and it was really hard. You couldn't just find people who were open for jobs on IMDb. It just wasn't what it was set up for. So, but we liked the way that IMDb worked as a portfolio for so many people. So we thought, well, what if there was a database that just collected people's portfolios and organized them with contact information to where people could go on and post jobs and people could reply to those jobs, or you could search for a certain kind of person. So say you're a writer and you need an editor, you could look for an editor, or say um, you're a screenwriter and you're looking for a director, you could search for directors, and you could search by their past work. So, you know, you're writing a thriller piece and you're looking for a director. Well, you want somebody who can do it justice. So you can look through their resume and look for directors who had worked on thriller projects before. So that's what we set out to do. And that's where we've come up with creators, storyteller creators, which is what you guys are beta testing. So the idea behind this is a community of creators to be able to post projects they're working on and communicate with each other to build a network that can be relied on to create some awesome stories. So that's kind of what that is there. But then we took it a step further, and we thought, well, once you've got your idea, you have your fans, you have your funding, and you have your people to create the idea. What happens once the idea is finished? Where does it go from there? And that's where you kind of hit distributing, and that's where the brick wall comes in. Once you've got it, where do you take it? And we realized that distributing was very closed off. It wasn't something people could access very well. So we tried to figure out, well, how can we open that door up to people? How can we open up the distributing channel to people? So we thought, well, obviously the best way of doing it is to just convince all these companies that they need to be more open. Um, but that didn't work. So what we ended up doing is we started to form contracts with popular distributors, people like Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, the App Store, um, Hulu, Amazon Prime. We started forming contracts with them, and we realized that what you could do is not everybody had to have a contract with Amazon Prime to be able to get their stuff on Amazon Prime. Only one person had to have the contract. Everyone else could have their stuff listed on it through the person who had the contract. So we formed these contracts with these people, and through those, we created a platform that would open up distributing for other people. So once your project's created, it can then be distributed through these channels because they've now been opened up by having these contracts submitted. And since all these creators are working together, it gives them that avenue. They can work through these contracts that have already been made, and they don't have to make new contracts with companies. They can use pre-existing ones for their distribution. So that's kind of how all this came about, is from 2 years of research and exploring the different avenues of telling stories and how you get them told and where you tell them at and how to get them distributed afterwards. But what did that come to? What did it formulate in the end? Um, well, it actually created something really interesting in the end, and that's what we call storytellers. So what storytellers is basically the climax of 2 years worth of trying to figure out how to simplify the storytelling industry and make it opened for people, so anyone could get into it. The actual phrase that we used on multiple occasions was, "What if we could make an open source industry?" So that's what we tried to do, was take the storytelling industry and make it open source to where anyone could get into it and be able to tell their story. So what we've designed is storytellers, and storytellers is a really interesting product that we've created. In a nutshell, it takes ideas from the concept birth all the way through distributing. So what would happen is, if you are a creator, you could go to Storytellers, which manifests itself as a website and an app. So you have an idea. You go to Storytellers, and there's a really cool place where you can actually, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like currently. Um, it's still very much in the works, but I thought it'd be cool to let you guys see a little bit of what was going on behind the scenes here, since you are beta testing a large part of Storytellers. But the idea is that if you're a creator, you get to um, let's see, you get to go to Storytellers and pitch your idea. So this is the Storytellers website here. Um, so what would happen is, if you were a creator, you would go to Storytellers, and as you can see, it looks a lot like a streaming service. You would have, the cool new release up here. Then you've got new releases here that you can go to, click on, and see their pages and learn more information about them. Then you would have down here creators, and you could go see all the creators and what they do. And I mean, these are people who go all across the board. We've got writers, we've got audio engineers, we have actors, we have directors, we have composers. So you could go and see all the different creators, and then you've got new ideas. So what are ideas? Well, let's click on an idea and see. So what an idea is it's something that a creator wants to build. So in this case, this idea is what's called cover story, and it's the idea for a radio drama podcast. So right here, we'd go and we see some details, IMDb style details. We would have trailers we could watch, a short blurb about it, who's the director, who's the writers, who's the stars of it. And all these would hyperlink to those creators' bios and their pages, to where we could see other things they've worked on. We see the cast, we see the crew, more about the storyline, what genres it's in, and we could see other things in those genres, plot key points, and we could see other things that involved those sorts of plots. So if you were a creator looking for a certain kind of person for your project, this would be a great way to do it. But it also gives audiences cool information about it as well. Official Facebook, official website, the funds for it, the company who's doing it, and all that kind of stuff. It's a cool place for people to leave reviews. But then what you also have is you have the campaign. And this is where the creators are able to fund their project. And it's not just getting the funding, but it's getting the fans. So as you see here, people are able to join as fans. And when you join as a fan, you get to be part of an exclusive community that's hosted by storytellers specifically for that project. So it's like a entire social media um, campaign all in one place and all focused around the one project to make it really sleek and easy for the fans to geek out about everything. And it makes it easy for the creator to be able to share cool exclusive content with them. So, and it's just real easy. You become a fan and it counts the fans. And once you get to a certain amount of fans, it opens it up for funding. And then once your funding makes it so far, you can actually produce the project. So then it's very similar to a Kickstarter. You're able to give different awards for a different amount of money. They can sponsor it um, and be able to fund the project and get it off the ground. And then, of course, you have questions that you can answer for your audience as well as the community for your project. So this is what we call storyteller fans. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit more about how you get to this point here. So how do you get your idea on storytellers for people to see? Well, it's really neat if you're a creator and you come to storytellers and you have an idea. What you do is you basically get to pitch the idea. And the cool part about storytellers versus other kinds of ways for pitching your idea and other sorts of funding sites or audience generating sites is storytellers is not automated. Everything is run by people. So when you pitch an idea, it doesn't run through an automated machine first. It actually goes straight to a human being who reviews it. And every idea is reviewed, and you actually get feedback on it, regardless of if it's accepted to be funded or not. You get feedback on it, and you get somebody to help work with you to make sure that the idea is good and make sure that your future ideas are even better. So you go to ideas, and you could explore ideas, which just shows us all the ideas that are on the site. You can see, the new ideas, all the ideas, the old ideas, and you can explore their different pages as well. But if you have your own idea you want to get by, you just go to pitch. And what you're able to do is send a pitch directly to uh, storytellers across the world. So you put in the information, you give as much information as you can, the stage of development, your actual pitch idea, what the form is that you're doing it in. So, you're pitching a theater play. You'd write what this play is about, what makes it unique. You can upload budgets, treatments, detailed outlines, samples, and you send that, and it goes to a group of storytellers for reviews. And from there, it's looked at and it's reviewed. And this process, depending on the story, can depend on how long it takes. But it's reviewed and it's really looked at closely, and then the creator is contacted back and given feedback on what was good about the idea, what was bad about the idea. And from there, it's put onto the site as an idea. And once it's put on the site as an idea, storytellers actually work with you to help promote your idea and get your initial fans. So once your idea is put on to the site, you are able to then start promoting it like you would a Kickstarter campaign. So let's go back to cover story here. Let's go back to cover story. So once you get your idea on the site, you can actually promote it like you would a Kickstarter campaign. And storytellers, the actual website storytellers, helps work with you, and the creators behind it help work with you to be able to promote it. So you get a cool page like this, and we work with you to build all this for you, get it all set up, and then you're able to actually promote what your story is to your audience, and we help you find your audience. And once you get to a threshold, so once you reach a certain amount of audience, depending on what kind of idea it is. So if it's a small YouTube show that you're pitching, you're not going to need as big of an audience to get it off the ground. But if you're producing something like a feature film, you'll need a bigger audience to be able to get that big buck funding. So it starts off with you trying to find your fans. So we don't start off with trying to find money for your project. We try to find the people who are interested in your project. So we start off by finding your fans. And depending on the kind of project, depends on what the initial threshold is for the fans. So for this particular one here, as an example, it says that once the idea has over 500 fans, it will be greenlit for pre-production. And then when 1,000 fans are reached, fundraising for production will commence. So we would work with you to help you find your initial 500 fans. And once the 500 fans are found, your project is greenlit to go into pre-production. And once it's greenlit to go into pre-production, that's when you start using the storyteller creators, which is what you are beta testing, to be able to find the people who can actually work on your project. So you'd be able to look at all their resumes, what they've worked on in the past, search by resume. So if you were looking for a writer who had worked on, a radio drama before, you'd be able to find them right off the bat. So, and then from there, pre-production commences as we work to get the rest of your fans. And once you get enough fans to the point to be able to start funding, then we help you with funding it. And we initially start by funding from the fans. So it initially starts by raising capital from the fans. But once you hit a certain threshold and you've raised so much of your budget from your friends, we actually take it and bring it to the larger corporate funders to fund the rest of it. So you don't actually fund the whole project by yourself. You only raise a certain portion of the project's funds. And then from there, we'll actually take it and pitch it to larger companies and bigger, deeper pockets to be able to get your final funding. And once that is raised, then production commences for whatever your project is. So in this case, a radio drama production would commence. We'd start the actual casting and recording of the project, and then from there it would move into pre-production. And the whole time that you do this, you're able to keep up with your fans in a really cool, exclusive way through Storyteller Fans. So let's actually see what Storyteller Fans would look like. So if we went to Storyteller Fans, you'll see that it's actually very, very similar to that of creators. So you would have a page that would be, or you would have a site that would be like the creator site, except for your project. So fans would be able to join as members. You'd be able to invite fans as members. You could post exclusive contents, videos behind the scenes. They can interact with you. They can interact with the talent. If you've got a movie, they can interact with the actors in it. They can talk back and forth theories amongst each other, theories amongst some of the people who are actually working on the project. And it's a really cool, exclusive way for you to be able to keep in contact with them through the fans. So once that happens and your project's finished and it's ready for distributing, we're able to actually get it out to all these distributing channels because Storytellers has contracts with distributing channels. And because your project is being produced, co-produced by Storytellers, it's able to just directly get in the door to all these really cool distributors because it's being co-produced through Storytellers. And we hold those contracts. So there's no need for you have to go try to get one-time contracts with all these big places like Amazon Prime and Google Play and iTunes and Spotify because we already hold those contracts. So you're just able to get right out the door once it's finished and get it into some really cool markets. So that's the idea. And that's the project that we've been working on. So what kind of is it that you guys are doing? Why are you here? Why did we ask you to join all this? Well, let's stop that. Beep. Stop the screen sharing. Cool. So, why are y'all here? Well, you're here to test the creators part of storytelling. So we're still in the development of the pitching part and the funding part of storytelling, and we're still in development of the fans side of storytelling. But since this all revolves around creators being able to meet each other and build cool worlds and great ideas, we wanted to start beta testing creators first and get feedback from them on what worked and what didn't work, what was intuitive and what just seemed stupid. So we started beta testing that first. So that's what you're in. You're in just a small part of Storytellers designed specifically for the creators and for the creators to be able to meet and communicate with each other. So what we're kind of wanting you guys to do is just to tear the site apart, see what it offers, see what it doesn't offer, gripe and complain about the things that you think need to be changed, because that's how we're going to move forward with this. We want to hear from you what's working, what's a good idea, and what's not, what you want, what you didn't want, and work from there. And now, obviously, you know, depending on what kind of field you're in, if you're in novel writing, you'll want things different than those who are in film. But we want to know that because we want this to be a place that all storytellers can be able to communicate and all of them can get their projects off the ground and get them soaring someplace. So that's kind of why you're here. And we're really excited to have you here and really excited to be working on this project and to have it in this stage where it's finally getting a chance to be beta tested in this way. All right. Julian says, wow, that's a really great idea. Actually, Julian, you're here and you could actually speak if you wanted to, if you had anything to say. But thank you. I appreciate that. There's a lot of people who appreciate that. So that's kind of the idea we're working on. And what we're really wanting y'all guys to do is we're wanting you to take this site that we've designed here for the creators, and we want you to just destroy it, basically. Pull it apart, nitpick it, show us what is working and what is not working. Help us just finish this off. It started out with us trying to create a place for storytellers, and once we got to a certain point, we now need your opinion on it, because this was designed for you to use. So if it doesn't work for you, then there's no point in even doing it. So that's what we want y'all to do, is see what works and what doesn't work, and help us trim away the fat and help us add in what we need. So real quick, let's actually take a chance to just run through the creators website that y'all will be beta testing, so y'all can kind of see what's all there and get a chance to sort of explore it a little bit. All right, so here we go. Let me share my screen with everybody. All right, so here is creators. Welcome to the site that you guys have already seen. But let's kind of look at some of the cool features we've been able to pack it here. So I think the one that stands out the most and is by far the most useful and was what this whole site was sort of built around is this search bar right up here. So if you click this search bar, it brings you to this really neat page that's just to help you organize and sort through all the content on the website. So right now it's fairly empty because there is only a handful of us beta testing it right now, and there hasn't been a lot of projects being put on the site and communication back and forth with people. So there's not much stuff. But this here is a really cool way to be able to sort it. So say you're looking for filmmakers. So we'll look up film. Now, what's really neat about this is how we can sort it. We can sort it by groups. So right here, we see the film storytellers group. And what this is it's basically a subsection of the whole creator's website. And it's just like the other creators. You can search specifically in this group. You can also post topics and post and questions and articles and events. And there can be members at this in this group. So it's just like a condensed version of the whole creator site, but only for film storytellers, because we want everybody to have a catered to them sort of feel. So we realized that if everybody, all these storytellers were going to be on the same site, they need to be able to kind of have their own little community to talk amongst. Because even though, novel writers have a lot in common with script writers, um, you do need to be able to isolate them. If you're wanting to produce a stage play, you don't really have any need to be looking at um, book producers, book publishers. So you want to be able to weed those people out. So we were able to create these cool groups that just allow us to sort the different kinds of storytellers into subgroups, but they're all on the same site. So everyone's still being able to communicate in really cool ways, but we're also able to see kind of people in our niche and what we're working in. Now, as the site grows and expands and more ideas get brought on here, once you're in the production and pre-production stage of your project, you're actually able to create a group just like this on this website that you can use to communicate with the team and be able to actually work on the project and communicate back and forth in a social sense. And that will be a private group so that not anybody can get on it, but it gives the team that's working on a project the ability to be able to communicate back and forth in this cool social way, and all the different tools and everything that they've been used to from using the Storyteller site will all be there. So it's a real sleek, intuitive way to just keep your production rolling real smooth in the way that everybody's used to working. So that is what. Oh yeah, and this is how I told you before, you can search for in a specific group. So right now we're searching in the group Spoken Storytellers. So let's get out of that, go back to the homepage. By the way, real cool tip, if you're on the website, this little guy right here takes you right back to the homepage. And this here will eventually take you back to the master homepage for storytellers once that's up and functioning. So let's go back to our search. See all the cool stuff we have to see. So let's go back to searching film. So we can search by groups, or we can search by members. So right here, we're searching for members who have a connection to film in some way. So right now, who we see Jeremiah. And Jeremiah is a cinematographer, and he loves filmmaking. So from here, we can actually go just straight to Jeremiah's page, and we can see some cool information about Jeremiah and what his activity's been, what projects he's been working on. We can see a cool bio about him. We can see what projects he follows, which projects he's working on. It's a really cool way to just kind of keep in contact with people and see that information at a real quick glance. And then eventually there will be a way to be able to see a more detailed portfolio of what people have worked on. So going back here, and also, if you think somebody's cool, you can totally follow them and see everything they do, which is really neat. We can also search by posts, so we can see any posts that has to do with film. We can look for events that have to do with film. We can look for comments that have to do with film. So right here, this is actually a question. What's your favorite form of storytelling and why? So this is a really cool thing to see because we can now see answers from people and we can see, oh, look, this is people telling me why they like to tell stories in this way. And this person here, Jeremiah, likes filmmaking, and I can see why now. So that's neat. We can also look at topics that have to do with films, and then specialities is kind of my favorite way to search, to be honest. I really pushed hard to be able to get this part up and functioning. So we can look right here in specialities and see anything that has to do with film. So film editors, boom, all the film editors on the site. Film critics, boom, all the film critics on the sites. Film producer, boom, all the film producers. Film director, what if we're looking for an editor? Our writer, so we're looking for a writer. We can see copywriters, transmedia writers. Oop, I clicked copywriters. And it brings us to a list of literally everybody on the site who is involved in that. We can look up transmedia, so transmedia producers, translators, transmedia directors, transmedia writers, transportation drivers, because I just put in trans. So, I mean, you can find people by exactly what it is that they're good at, their specialties. So, I think it's a really cool way to be able to find the people that you're looking for and find the people who can work with you. You can also just specialize these searches to only the groups you're in. So if you want to only see people who write film and you don't want to find writers for other stuff, you can do it only the groups I'm in. So if you're in the filmmaking group, bam, you only see people who have to do with film, who do writing for film. You can also try to find the people who are near you. So right now, there's no one near me in transmedia, but there are some people near me in film, I think. Maybe not. I guess there wasn't anyone near me in film. But you can sort it by the people who are close to you. So, say you've got a project where travel's not really going to be an option for your crew. You can look for the people in your area. And that's like really cool and intuitive there. So that's my favorite part about the site. Like I think that's where the site's heartbeat is being able to search for different kinds of storytellers and what they're working on. So that's my favorite part is is the searching. But aside from that, there's some other cool things that the site does as well. Um, oh, Julian is just saying that. That's nice. Thank you. Um, so a few of the other cool things that the site does. Right here at the very top, we see the members who are online. So right now, that is Christopher D. Stewart and Julian Rodriguez, if I pronounced that name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. And then we can see recent members who've been online, and then we can click see more, and we can see all the members, and we can see what categories they're in. Cinematographer, this guy's a new member, and we can click these. We can say hello, and that opens up an instant chat with whoever that is that we click. So that's cool. That's a neat way just right off the bat to be able to see everybody who's here. And then from there, it's very much like Facebook. We can write a post. So yeah. So you can just write a post. You can add it to a special group. So let's say let's add this to the web storytellers. So that would be YouTubers, bloggers, those kinds of guys. Uh, we'll do and put in the crew topic. So that's a cool way to be able to sort what you write so people can find it later. So if people are looking for crews later, I mean, technically this isn't relative to crews, but if people are looking for crews later, they can find posts that have to do with that. You can add some cool stuff to it. Right here, we can add, a neat photo. So we've actually got a cool photo right here that we can use. How about this one here? This is for a short film that an awesome set of people are making. We also have this cool Thunderbolt. Let's use the Thunderbolt. So we can put cool pictures in it. We can also create polls where we can ask questions. Oh, can't have an image on a poll. Sorry. So let's just post that. And now, obviously, you guys can't do this, but I have the choice of being able to notify everybody of a post so I can get a hold of people if something's important. But yeah, so there's the cool way that we're able to post things and we can create polls. So this is a neat way to be able to engage with people. You have questions, so you can just be like, what's your favorite color? And people can reply in the comments questions. You can also have multiple choice. So you're trying to come up with a title for your new book. And it's like, which ones of these do you like better? The Fire or Burning Ember? Which one sounds better? You can also do a hot or cold, which is really, it's a neat poll. It gives you a graph that you can see of who liked what. So that's a really cool way to do it as well. You also can create a percentage. So you can ask a question and it'll give you a percentage of how many people answered this way versus how many people answered that way. So that's a really cool way to be able to kind of run some ideas by people. So you're trying to figure out what's going to be a useful uh, topic for your project, or um, you know, who's going to be a good writer for it. Do you like this cover art that we've come up with? It's a neat way to get feedback from creators like you on what you're working on, is to do questions like that. So that's really neat. And then you've got kind of a Facebook stream right here, and you can just see what's been going on, scroll through it, participate with other people, see what's happening in the community. And then if we go back to the top, you've got this right here, which is the magic square, the dashboard. It's fantastic. And this will organize the whole site for you into sections. So right here, we can organize it. Yeah, I don't want to post that I wrote. So right here, we can organize it by topics. And these are all the topics, which if you don't see a topic that you want there, let us know and we'll add the topic. Someone said that they wanted a job topic so that they could easily see all the job positions. So, let's say, let's go to the casting. So if you're an actor and you're looking for jobs, you can go to this and see all the different posts that has to do with casting. So right here, this is where Miss Young is looking to be casted as a voiceover professional. So we see that right here where that's what she's looking for. So that's a way that we're able to organize and see what we're trying to find, is by these topics. So that's a cool way to just sort everything on the site real easily. And then right here, we can see all the posts in just a chronological order, timeline, whatever post was posted first to whatever post was last, and in order. We can also then go to questions and see all the questions in an order. So that's a neat way. I like the questions page because that's a cool way for me to see what other people are needing help on and quickly be able to, help them out with it. I can just go straight here and sort the whole website by just the questions and find what people are asking and, see if I can't help out with it. And then articles are the ways that you guys are actually able to communicate with the people hosting and running the site. So articles is how the people behind the scenes of running creators is able to get in contact with you guys, and you're able to have feedback with them. If they've got like a particular something going on or a question they have, they'll actually post an article for you to give feedback on. So that's the exclusive way that you can sort for that sort of stuff. We wanted to keep it separate so that it was really easy and intuitive for everyone to contact the people behind behind the scenes making this work, so that they could get in contact with them quickly about ideas they had or things that weren't functioning. So articles is how you're able to do that. Then we have events, and this could be casting calls, um, autograph days, just meetups for the fun of it. We can do live streamings like we did now. They can be local events. If we click the plus button here, we can add a title, we can put it in a group, we can add a topic to it, we can describe it. It can be a local event. It can be a live chat, which is just hosted right on the site. It can be an online meeting. It can be a live video. So, you've got really cool ways of doing that. And once you actually create, the whole event and you post it, what's really neat is you can actually, other people can be looking at the event. And right here, there's this really cool button that I love so much called Export to Calendar. You click it, you pick what kind of calendar you want to export to, and boom, it's on your calendar. And that's all there is to it, so that you can keep up real easily with what's going on. If there was a showing you wanted to see, or there was a book sign you wanted to go to, or a couple of people were planning a cool get together, you don't have to try to remember it. You can add it right to your digital calendar and keep up with your life that way. So you can also sort by events that are near you if you're all about that kind of stuff. So then right here, this is where you can easily sort the whole site by members. You can see the most active people, who is doing, the most communication with people, who's most active. You can also look for members who are near you. You can look for the newbies, say hi to somebody, who's new. And right here is where you can find the people who are actually hosting the site and who are running it. And you can really easily get a hold of them and be like, hey, this isn't working. I mean, obviously, I can't talk to myself, but and then you can see the people who are online right now that you could, just jump in a chat with and be like, hi, how are you doing? I'm just doing a video here. So, it's a real neat way to just be able to talk with people and get in contact with them. So then from here we have groups, and groups is where um, creators is really able to shine by being a place where all sorts of storytellers can come together and work together on ideas, but also giving us the chance to be able to hang out and work exclusively with those people that are in the same field as us. So groups basically just is an entire sub story or creators community, but just for that specific thing. So this is just for web-based storytellers. Here is just for spoken storytellers. This is for film. This is for messianic storytellers, faith-based storytellers, TV storytellers. So it gives you a neat way to be able to just connect with those people. And you have all the same features. So right here in gaming, we're able to invite members. We've got gaming topics. We've got posts only about gaming. We have questions only about gaming. We've got where the creators and the hosts behind the things have talked specifically about gaming and asked questions specifically about gaming. We have events only about gaming. All the members of this, we're able to invite people directly to it. And then we have the ideas. So where people are pitching ideas that they want to get by that are, game ideas. So it's a really cool way to just uh, be all together in one place, but also be able to sort of uh, drown out some of the noise to be able to hear what it is and communicate with the people that you need to whenever you need to. So that's a really cool way to do that. And like I said, also there will be groups for projects that are being made. So you can use all those cool tools to be able to communicate with your team and working on ideas. So, say there, let's go with cover story, what we were doing earlier. You could have a group for all the people working on cover story and be able to communicate with them in the same way that they're used to communicating through the site. So you all go to the same place you've always been going to, and you're able to communicate with all the tools that you're used to. So that's how that works there. That's groups. And right here, once the site's live, is where you can actually invite people that you know to join the community as well. And this right here is the place where you can pitch your ideas. Now, ideas is not up and functioning yet. We're still trying to get some of the kinks worked out of it. But once it's up and functioning, you hit it, and it takes you to a working website where you can uh, pitch your ideas. So that's kind of uh, a little bit of a rundown of the whole site here. Um, if you're working on the app, it's very much the same. Your dashboard's still at the top. Your chat actually goes down to the bottom. The home page goes down to the bottom as well. Your notifications go down the bottom. This is your notifications right here. Your lovely face will be where you can see all the notifications of everything that's going on. That's also where you can get into your settings and view your profile and change things on it. You've got this cool edit button here that allows you to change bukus of stuff on your profile. Now, something that other people have been asking about is with the app, how do they get notifications? Currently, it's set up to where when you log in for the first time on the app, and if you're looking for how to get the app, bam, get the app right there. It's so awesome. You just hit it and it'll be like, we want your phone number. You put in your phone number and it'll send you a link to the app and you just download that sucker and log in. It's pretty cool. But anyway, right now when you log into the app for the first time, it asks you if you want mobile notifications turned on. And if you say yes, they're on by default. If you say no, then they're off. So if you ever want to turn them back on, if you'll go to view my profile, which you can do from the app or you can do from the website, and you hit this cool edit button here, right here, you go to notifications and you can pick what kind of notifications you get. So none, you don't get any notifications. Mobile, it'll give you notifications on the mobile app. Email, it'll email you notifications, or you can do both. You can get email notifications and the mobile ones. And then you can also pick what kind of a notification you get. Message from members, mentions in posts or comments, comments on your stuff, event notifications, comments after you, cheers on stuff, which is a like on a Facebook. If you're used to Facebook, that's a like. Post from host, post from members you follow, questions you can help answer, activities relevant to you. So, and then you can turn off notifications for groups that you're in. If you're like, man, these novel storytellers just keep talking, I don't want to hear what they have to say, you can just mute them. It's pretty cool. So that's how that works. Now, if you turn off notifications, it doesn't mean you won't see the stuff in your feed. It just means that it won't send you notifications about it. So if you log into the app or log into the website, you're still going to see that stuff. It just won't notify you about it. So if you didn't want to see stuff from the novel storytellers, you could just leave the group and then you wouldn't see their stuff anymore. But that's how you do the notifications. There was a couple of people asking that. You can put in, links to your Facebook, your Instagram, your personal website, choose your time zone. That's really important because the website will convert all times to your time zone if you put in the correct one here. So that's really neat. So that's important. This is where you're able to change your password and you can up and leave the community. Just be like, I'm bailing out and just leave. You can leave any of your groups right here. So, I can't leave groups because I'm host, obviously, but you could leave groups if you wanted. So that's kind of how it works. You can also change your profile picture here. And on the mobile app, you have the option to also change your background picture as well. You can have a cool background picture behind it all. There isn't a background picture on the desktop though, but you can change that on the mobile one. So that is Storytellers. So basically what we kind of want y'all to do is look at it, see what works, see what doesn't work, and give us some feedback on it. So what we're going to be doing is each week, at the end of the week, we're going to send out a questionnaire through the website here. You can find all of those under articles. We'll send out a questionnaire with questions about what was working this week, what wasn't working, what you think should be added, and what you think needs to go, and that kind of stuff. So that gives you a chance to be able to give your opinion on all that. So currently, that is Storytellers, and that's Storyteller Creators. So as we get a little farther into the month, we're going to test this for 2 months, so all of December and all of January. Then the whole thing will go offline until March, and it'll come back up officially in March as a fully functioning site. So we're going to collect data from you and information from you, and for all of January, or for all of December and all of January. And then at the end of January, we're going to take all that and we're going to fix this sucker up and make it all shiny and nice. So, and then hopefully we'll have it up by March, and it'll be live then, and everybody can see it and enjoy it, and the whole thing will be done by then. So as we go through the month of December, especially, we're going to be getting some of that other stuff out. So we'll be getting fans up and running. We'll be getting the idea pitching up and running and all that stuff. And we'll be working with you guys to be able to create your portfolio bio pages and all that stuff, get them functioning, get any ideas that y'all have up on the site as well, so y'all can explore how that kind of stuff works. So, but for now, we're kind of going to take it step at a time. So for now, just explore the creator site, see what works, what's intuitive, what doesn't work, and we'll kind of move from there into the next step that we get done, and we'll let you guys explore that and see what works there and what doesn't work there, and then we'll move into the next step, and then we'll take it all offline, we'll fix it all, and we'll put it back up, and we'll get this thing launched into the world, and hopefully it works. So yeah, y'all's role in all of this is super important, because we want this to be something that everybody can use. So you guys get to represent everybody. So we really need y'all to think about what works personally for you, but then what works corporately for everyone. So we want y'all to, like, well, this didn't work great for me. This would work great for me. But also I know that if we did it this way, that'd be really nice for everybody. So we really need to hear feedback from you guys in all those different categories, just to help us out with this and make it something that really works. Because we could come up with the whole thing by ourselves, launch it, and get it started, and it only have stuff that works for us, only have things that we wanted it to do. But the idea is for it to do what everybody needs it to do and what everybody wants it to do. So y'all guys get to represent everybody and help us out with figuring out what it needs to do and what it does good and what it doesn't do, and improve on those features. So yeah, typical beta testing stuff. But that's sort of where everything is. So now we go to an open panel for questions. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to join the conversation. You can go to the event and click on the join meeting button, or if you're streaming it, feel free to comment in the comment section any questions you have. You can also use the comment section if you've joined the event, or if you've got a microphone or video camera and you would like to be seen and heard, feel free to do that as well. But for the next couple of minutes, or as long as it takes, the floor is just kind of open to anybody to ask any questions, give any feedback that they've had, any initial thoughts. So yeah, that's Storyteller Creators. Oh, everybody's got tons of questions. I just hear it. All right, well then, we'll give it a few minutes, see if anybody has anything they need to say. Nobody asked me where I learned to sing, because I never learned to sing, which is why I sound as bad as I do. So don't ask that question. But all right, well then. Cool. Apparently I covered it all, because nobody has any questions about anything. Hopefully, as we get into, oh, wait. Nope, you don't have any questions yet, but you like the idea. Awesome. Thank you. I hope it works. I'm really nervous that it's going to have some kinks that we have to get out of it initially, but I think we can make it to something that works. I think it has great potential too, obviously by the fact that I've worked 2 years on it with a bunch of random people to try to get it to work. So yeah, well, thank you guys for being beta testers, and thank you for spending your evening listening to me rant about things and stuff. So hopefully this, guys, will give you a better understanding of what this is and what we're trying to make it and why we want you guys to help us out with it. So you can obviously leave at any time if you're not interested in beta testing. But for now, we've got to keep the whole thing sort of under wraps. We're not releasing it publicly yet, so you actually you can't invite anybody to the site. Uh, right now, it's locked out. But once we get it fully functional, you'll have the ability to be able to invite anybody you want to join. But for now, it's just the beta testers as we get it going. So keep it secret, keep it safe. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to do this. And I hope that it'll be a really cool next 2 months as we work out some of the final kinks and all this neat technology and hopefully get the thing up and going really soon. Um, and yeah, while we do the beta testing, feel free to pitch legitimate ideas you want to get rolling because we're going to, all the stuff that uh, we do while we beta test, we're going to leave on the site as far as ideas and conversations and stuff like that that weren't relevant to stuff that didn't work kind of deal. But we want y'all to use the site like you would actually use it if it was fully functional. So once we get the idea picture up and running, pitch ideas that you actually want to get going, and those will be on the site and ready to go as soon as it launches next year. So use the site the way you would use it if it worked, so that we know what doesn't work and what does work. All right, cool. I have ranted for long enough. Thank you again, guys, for helping us out with this and for giving it all a shot. So I hope you all have a great evening, and I will be seeing you guys really soon as we work on all this. Thank you.